Hello and welcome. We are here for a creator spotlight with JP Coovert.
The great JP Coovert, one of our favorite creators. I'm a huge fan of JP Coovert. Dragon Town, his recent book that just kickstarted successfully and is on its way, is one of my favorite settings. And a lot of folks in the Land of Eem community have pointed at it as being so Land of Eem centric in how they want to approach it that we will be remiss to bring JP on and talk about his process, his creative inspirations, and just to hang out for a while and get to know each other better.
And of course, he did 2 adventures for the Mucklands sandbox. Adventures in the Mucklands, Hippogriff Heist, and Double the Treasure, Double the Fun.
That's great. That's not quite it, but it is. It sounds fun.
Double Trouble.
We're keeping all this.
Depending on how you play, it's one or the other, right?
Yes, it's one
Exactly.
of the, and it's definitely fun. That's for sure. But yeah, so JP, welcome to our humble channel where we're in the process of promoting a Kickstarter campaign for the newest Land of Eem expansion. We're thrilled to have you with us to pick your brain, because I got questions for you, Jack. I want to know what your main inspirations are. Like, how did you get into this industry? How did you get inspired to make TTRPGs? Where did it all begin for little JP?
And maybe even back it up to like, when did you start playing RPGs?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, immediately my brain goes to kind of like, you guys were playing since you were really young. I wasn't exactly like that, but I feel like we have a similar trajectory, like through comics into games. Yeah, so I should start by saying, like, big fans of you guys. Thanks for having me. All that stuff. When I was a little kid, I bought whatever edition the monster manual was, and like, because there was a bunch of cool monster drawings in there, and I had no idea what D&D was. And then I think 3rd edition came out, and my friend and I tried to play it, and we had no idea what we were doing. And then like the Dragonlance books were a big thing, like in middle school.
Yeah.
And like video, like Baldur's Gate and Diablo. So it's like the kind of like DNA was always around, always there, but I didn't end up really playing. I played like little one-off things here and there through high school. I don't even know if I played it all in college, but in grad school, my professor Jason Lutz, who is also an amazing cartoonist and also a game designer, just had Perilous Voids, I think was his latest book that just came out. It's really cool, like sci-fi generator, like world generator game. It's super cool.
Questing Beast did a video on it today.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So when Gary Gygax passed away, he ran, what's the module? It's like the Frost Giant module.
I know what you're talking about. I know what you mean.
Like some Frost Giant Jarl or something. He ran that and was like, oh, this is like, I finally had the actual experience of playing D&D, and it was like such a cool thing. And then that kind of I think that was right around when 5e came out, and I had another friend that started running a game and started playing a bunch, and then started running games for friends in here, like in an in-person game. And then of course I started like making little miniatures, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. The creation, making my own stuff bug bit, and it's been nonstop ever since.
And you went to what college? Cartoon?
I went to SCAD for undergrad, Savannah College of Art and Design, and then I went to the Center for Cartoon Studies for
cool.
grad school. Yeah.
Very cool.
So I feel like, your whole comics background really set you up for the type of work that you're doing on your Patreon.
Yeah.
Like making zines.
Yeah, your body of work on your Patreon is spectacular. Like it's exactly what we love.
Yeah,
and the fact that they all have covers and they're all like laid out pretty uniquely, it's like amazing.
Your output
that takes
wild.
it up another level.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, so I make a zine a month on Patreon, and it's a fun way to just keep making weird stuff, like nonstop.
Yeah, we get it.
Yeah.
Before
I've got kind of go ahead.
Gotta let my dog out.
Okay. We'll keep all this.
I love looking at your guys' backgrounds and seeing like you guys both have a Castle Grayskull back there. That's awesome.
Got my Castle Grayskull and my She-Ra art that includes He-Man and Horde, the classics.
Awesome. Yeah.
I got those for James. I went to PowerCon.
Oh, there's a whole He-Man convention.
I know. I've always wanted to go to it. I've always
It was
wanted to
like
go to it.
this Earl Norham box set of prints that I bought. So I have like tons more. I just have no place to put them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
I know where you can put them, Ben.
He's got a whole bunch of space down there.
I actually lost these two after Ben gave them to me, and it made me sick for like 2 years. But then I discovered them after a move, and I was like, yes, they exist.
I can hear my dog like, it's a good drink of water.
It's all good.
I'm back.
But yeah, got the Castle Grayskulls. I have my Warhammer collection, like right here.
Okay, yeah,
It's
yeah.
definitely like a Warhammer.
Yeah.
And I discovered this artist on Instagram called Dark Wizard. He's like a tattooed artist.
He's in Michigan. I'm thinking
Really?
about getting not a Warhammer tattoo, but I'm thinking about getting a tattoo from him. Like
I
Dark
love
Wizard
his
Berserker or something.
Yes, I have the Dark Wizard Berserker postcard that I got with this print that I purchased right here on my
Yeah.
wall. I love the
Yeah.
piece.
I like because I think he did comics too before.
I think so. I don't know that much about him. I just am
Yeah.
a fan.
Yeah, I did like his latest stuff. He's been doing a bunch of like Lord of the Rings stuff.
Yeah.
He did one that was like a Gandalf with a Balrog, and just like the way it was like separated and like kind of abstract. I was like, oh, I love this. Yeah, that's obviously our our taste line.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. I see the formulation of the X-Men like happening on this call.
Yeah.
Awesome. Where did we leave off? I mean,
You were going to ask a question.
And I derailed it.
I
know.
did. No, it was me.
Oh yeah.
So I've got a question about, I want to go a little bit deeper on your inspiration, but specifically for a lot of the TTRPG work that you do, what kind of like media inspirations, what kind of books and comics and films and games are influencing your style and your vibe? Because I, as a huge fan of the vibe and as like a Land of Eem guy, like in a similar vibe, I'm very curious to see what your trajectory is for getting to loving that sort of thing.
Yeah. So around the same time I started, getting into making stuff for my D&D game, I started revisiting Akira Toriyama's works, so like Dragon Ball, and like there's for me there's a sweet spot of his work. The super early stuff, it's still like trying to figure out how he's drawing, and then there's a point where I don't know this for sure, but there's a point where it's like, oh, did you start drawing on the computer a lot or something, where it gets like a little too clean, if that's the way to say it. But original Dragon Quest monster drawings.
Got a book
Like-
behind me.
Yeah, that. So like Dragon Quest 1 to 5. So like the Nintendo, maybe I can't remember if 5 was on Super Nintendo, but like that, and it's not like he was doing any of the artwork for the game. It's like the concept art kind of stuff, and a lot of people point like to Chrono Trigger and those drawings are awesome, but the sweet spot is like right before Chrono Trigger for me, where it's like there's a simplicity and a character to it that I just love. The way I sort of talk about it is like when I close my eyes and like if I'm like, trying to think up like, how am I going to describe this scene for the characters? And I close my eyes and I imagine it, I sort of like view it in a kind of simplified cartoon where like, have you guys ever seen this blew me away when I saw it, because I just kind of assumed that everybody was like me, but there's like I wish I knew like the word for it, but it's like the
in your
apple.
brain?
Yeah. So it's like there, some people don't see an apple at all. And then some people see like a full color photorealistic thing. And then I feel like I'm kind of like in between, where it's not quite like an icon of an apple.
I don't even see an icon. I just feel like I see a faint like glimmer of something in it. I don't see an image for a long period in my brain.
Yeah. It's always kind of like a little fuzzy, and you can like kind of like change it around if you think about it. But yeah, so I it's like kind of revisiting that stuff and then learning, but not learning, but like paying attention to how images look in my head, sort of like clicked. And that's kind of been a big like visual trajectory for a lot of stuff.
Cool.
At least like the Flick Silver Pen stuff
Yeah.
is kind of stuck to that. that's sort of inspiration, I guess. Yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
Very long-winded answer for yeah, Dragon Quest monster. Yeah.
Go
Were
ahead.
your comics like, is there like a clear link from, the aesthetic of your comics to your RPG stuff? Like, was it always in that vein as well?
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, I definitely had there's a cartoonist named John Porcellino that
Mm.
does an ongoing comic called King Cat that I really love, and it's like very simply drawn, but like
Like poignant slice of life stuff going on.
Yeah.
yeah, but like I think it's like what I love about it is it's like very poetic. So I have this drawing that he did of it's like cars on a highway, and it's like the simplest cars, the like metal railing thing that keeps cars from going
Oh,
off
yeah.
the highway, and it's like that with just like a little bit of like little dashes for grass, and it's like just this beautiful little like drawing, and it's like somehow it like there's probably 50 sounds like a big number, but if you think about drawing a bunch of cars on a highway, like 50 lines isn't really that many lines, but like
Yeah.
that's the amount of lines that it takes to draw it, and it like captures it so it's like there's something I love about like just enough to get at something
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
and that was like a big part of making comics, where it's like, how can like the magic of comics is you can like write a few words and then put a picture with it and like get a lot out of that. And then when you put some more words in another picture next to it, there's like space in between and your brain fills it in and you can like get so much out of so little. And there's something I just love about that. Like in practice where it's like, okay, I'm going to sit down and try and it works so well for tabletop games because it's like, when it comes down to it, like I'm making stuff for GMs to share with their players. So like being really economical
Yeah.
about it and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
making that
Distilling
as
it all
easy.
down.
Yeah, like
Using a minimalist approach to create the amount of clarity that makes it easy to just jump into.
yeah. So like it all kind of fits.
Yeah, that's super insightful. I totally understand how that muscle in your body could be flexed to really align with that kind of objective. That's cool.
Yeah. So I always make sure I have like note cards everywhere, and I have like the first link on my bookmarks bar is like to get to my Google Drive where everything is. And so like kind of nonstop, whenever there's an idea, it's like write it down immediately. It's kind of the first step. So I always try and like
And where do your ideas come from?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like what the last idea I wrote down was. And, I buy too many books and waste too much time playing video games or, watching YouTube or, whatever show or movie or what, so it's like, as long as you're doing that, the ideas are just gonna keep coming.
Yeah.
So that's how, I mean, obviously that's how things start. So just having like the big, huge list of different ideas. And then like once I decide on what I'm going to work on, usually I'm pretty like month to month with the Patreon stuff. So there's like kind of always 3 months like overlapping, I guess. So I usually start by, once I decide on an idea, I start by outlining it in a Google Doc and then just kind of like keep going through it, however many times it takes to get it to where it's like pretty much a finished manuscript kind of thing. And then I take the text and lay it out in InDesign. I have a template for my zines, just kind of like regular format. So lay it out in InDesign. And like I used to write down in the manuscript, like, okay, there needs to be an illustration for this thing, whatever it is. So it's like I could kind of plan it out like, okay, if I'm going to make an illustration of this NPC, I don't need to do a lot of writing to describe what they look like or something, like I would kind of like plan it like that. But at this point, I'm just like, I kind of just know what I'm going to draw. So I don't even bother with like writing down like what illustrations are going to be.
Do you put a ton of work into the layout in terms of like when we're doing layout or, working with someone to do layout?
Yeah.
I find it's easier to just have all the text laid out first and then decide where art goes, as opposed, unless there's like a few spots where we really want something to go?
Yeah, it's kind of both ways. So like usually as I'm writing, I'm also imagining how the layout will go. Like, okay, it's gonna be like a page, so I can't write too much at the beginning because I know after the intro page there's gonna be a 2-page spread map. And then, so it's like kind of thinking about it, but then the layout stage is also some like puzzle solving to figure out like, oh, can like sometimes is this NPC drawing just going to be a portrait now instead of like a full body thing? I didn't leave myself enough space, or so there is some of that like figuring out in the layout as well. Yeah. And then once the layout's done, then there's got to be a better way. But what I do is I just take a screenshot. I work in like the double page spread, so I'm always thinking about it as a zine or a book. And just take a screenshot of the 2-page spread and then paste it into Photoshop, so I like can see, and reduce the transparency so I can see like where the text is, and then just draw in the empty space, and then save the Photoshop file and just drop it into InDesign behind the text.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's like it's kind of like I think about when the time comes to do different languages. It's not the right way to do it for that at all, because like a lot of it is, if this block of text had one more line, it would like screw everything up. And I know it's not the best way, but it's like kind of the fastest and like easiest way for me to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I can only think a different. I mean, I do the same stuff sometimes. I would just save it, like open the PDF in Photoshop or something. But that's achieving the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you're doing the right thing.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean,
Trust in yourself, JP. Trust in yourself.
For me, it's just, I mean, you guys know, like when it's time to like go put a book together, and you have, like all of the like little things that like the little tiny things that need to change, and then there's like the ripple effect, and you start questioning you're like, oh, why didn't I do it this way to begin with? And that, I feel like that happens more than it should.
Well, you're a one-man show, and it's like a lot of decisions on your shoulders.
That's what I want to ask you guys. Is I'm super curious because, like, I mean, one of the things I really like is that I get to just like kind of be by myself and like work on things and like spend my time being creative and all that stuff. But you guys have such a tight, like, I mean, you're like real creative partners. Like, and I'm like so curious about how that works and how your process works with. I can't imagine sitting down to write some of this stuff. And like, on one hand, it sounds awesome to like have someone to like bounce ideas off of and like come up with all this stuff. But then like, what do you guys do when it comes time to like actually write the thing?
Well, people don't really know how hard we are on each other. Like Ben and I,
wow,
we're so, no, I'm kidding.
There's got to be some of that though, right? Like,
I mean, it ultimately stems from the fact that we've known each other our entire lives.
Yeah.
We're very much on the same wavelength. We like all the same things. We have the same sensibilities. We're very, very closely aligned. And in terms of the Land of Eem, it's our baby, and we're both very present with its future and its plans and the kind of tone and stories that we want to exist in the world. We've figured it all out essentially on paper. We know the beginning and we know the end of this world. And it just, everything else in between is a little bit of just like knitting together the sweater to make all the colors look good and in the right kind of a pattern.
I mean, I feel like that's true of every project. I don't know if that's the whole like thing. We don't know everything about the world. We're constantly making things up.
Oh yeah, of course.
We know everything. We know where all the pleasure is in, ladies and gentlemen. All the monsters that you will have to fight.
I think we sort of, over years of honing, we have this unspoken like working relationship where we know that if something needs to get done, we're both going to do it. And it always begins with us talking about brainstorming, crafting an outline in most cases, especially with a story or the sandbox.
Yeah.
And then, with comics, we often, or every time we've written a comic, we write it together at the same time in the same Google Doc.
Okay, yeah.
We can't do that with, a prose book just because of the logistics behind that. So we craft like really strong outlines, just like beat by beat. So neither of us is going to get super surprised by the other. We know where the story's going. That's what James is talking about. And then we'll with our Dungeoneer Adventures books, we'll switch off writing chapters, come together and edit them. And then in those editing moments, it's like when we're writing comics, we're just like both in the document, changing sentences and moving things around together. The sandbox is a little different because it's so huge.
Yeah.
We do the outlines together, but we sort of tackle things separately, come together and edit. Sometimes there'll be like tricky things that, neither of us know exactly what to do, and we'll hammer it out together.
Reading through the Mucklands sandbox, I was like, okay, there's no way these dudes wrote, I was trying to figure out, all right, which what part did Ben write? What part did James write? It's it was impossible. But what became clear was that oh, you guys have to be the book is so huge, and it's oh, you guys must just riff constantly, and whenever there's an idea, it's oh yeah, this can go here, and it's just I can see how this huge book that's so crammed. How many NPCs do you have an actual? Do you know how many NPCs?
First book, I think it was 450.
450
NPCs
or more.
Crazy.
That was crazy.
Yeah. It's what I'm trying to say is I can kind of see how you guys work, or I can at least tell how much fun you're having working by reading it. But the actual process of it isn't totally clear, especially from someone who just sits at the computer all day by himself.
Part of the joy that we both get is just writing something that will make the other person laugh.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. That's one of the primary motivators. Obviously, we want to get one of the before Ben collapses. He's strict. Understanding the assignment in the first place, like Ben was talking about, outlining, understanding this project cleanly at the beginning allows us to execute against what it is with a lot of clarity and with a lot of confidence. And then you mentioned riffing, and that's actually what we call it. For all creative projects, Ben and I do a thing that we call riffing. We'll be hey, let's riff. It's that's what we do. And we just knock through it until we end up with that clarity. So we're okay, here's the story, here's the characters, here's their motivations, here's their personalities. Let's go. You're on chapter 1, I'm on chapter 2. I'll meet you in the middle. We'll edit it together. Boom. Book is done. And that's
so cool. Yeah.
That's how it works for the Dungeoneer Adventures series. Rickety Stitch is a little bit unique because we, like Ben said, we wrote it simultaneously, and that's that might be difficult for collaborators to do if they don't have a long history like we do, where we can literally finish each other's sandwiches.
It's probably going to be even hard for us now because of
we got to flex that
little kids and just scheduling that requires 5-6 hours at a time working together uninterrupted.
Right. In the same Google Doc, live writing dialogue as the character, tweaking it, making each other laugh, losing 25 minutes, and then coming back to it.
So, okay, I had two more follow-up questions. So how much time are you spending on a call? Because I'm assuming you guys live near each other, but you're not hanging out every day.
No, we're an hour away.
We're an hour away from each other, and we see each other pretty frequently. But we'll jump on video calls or phone calls a lot throughout the day to just check on to-do items, square away ideas, and then go back to our hidey holes to execute on what we decided.
Yeah, we probably call each other 5 or 6 times a day.
5 or 6 times a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a job. It's we're working with each other. It's totally normal to call each other 5 or 6 times a day.
Or maybe that's just during a Kickstarter. Maybe it's a couple times normally. But
now we talk every 4 minutes. But in fact, we've been on the call since yesterday. You just
that built over time, and I think we hit our stride with it with Rickety Stitch.
Okay, yeah, that's the hard part for me is having the accountability to all right, the writing should be done around this time, and then it's like, well, if it's a few days late, like who cares? As long as it gets done by the end of the month or whatever, it's fine. So I think, I mean, I'm just imagining what a sort of partnership like you guys have would actually look like. And there's so many like cool, seems like there's a lot of cool things about it, and having some accountability is
Yeah, we set internal goals all the time, and we're always like changing our goals based on new opportunities that fizzle. In the past few years, I think we've set out to do like 3 different projects, but then pivoted to do other ones. It just seems like it's always changing, and then what actually gets finished is not what we thought we were going to be doing a year ago.
Interesting. Is so like what's
like
an example?
The Underlands, for example.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think we've said this, but I think we were planning on doing Grimly Wood, another area of Land of Eem.
Mhm.
I think we were like planning that for quite a while.
We'd even started it. We'd even started it. We started it and then we edited it because you got to edit it what you started. Sorry. We even started working on Grimly Wood because we were pretty confident that was going to be the next sandbox.
Interesting. And then kids happen and you're like, let's make the younger version. And then it's like, oh, this is set so perfectly in is it Underlands or Under Mucklands?
Underlands, but one
yeah.
of the regions is the Under Mucklands.
Okay, yeah. That's how stuff works, right? Like ideas change and you'll revisit the stuff you started later, and that's going to be an awesome big book that I can't wait to read too. At some point, right? Like,
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll definitely make it.
Even the other night, I mean, we're working on this book project, like a story that we're working on, but we sort of put another story on hold that we were like halfway done writing. And now we're just like focusing on finishing this one because we have like other irons in the fire. So it's kind of juggling all these like projects that are most, I don't know what I'm saying.
Well, I get you. So like how many projects do you usually have going at one time?
Oh,
probably like 2 or 3.
Yeah, probably 2 or 3 projects at any one time. Not to mention things like supporting the Patreon and working on new Land of Eem material. There's like a giant laundry list of requests that we've gotten from the community as well. That 90% of them are something that we are aware of and are working on. But it's just a matter of like, when is it in the queue? Really, like when can we get to it? Because there's some stuff with different priorities ahead of things, and so we've got. We'll make a dent in 10 to 15 years.
Yeah. So the Eem in space is next, right?
We can't escape it. We can't escape Space Eem.
Space Eem.
Yeah. I think it's all because Ben confirmed that if by the graces of the universe, the Land of Eem Kickstarter campaign reached $1 million, that we would do Space Eem, and I gotta back his play. It's confirmed. We will do it. So share away.
Awesome.
Space Eem, starring Rick Moranis.
Isn't that wild that there's going to be a new Spaceballs?
It is wild. It is wild, and I'm there for it.
Yeah.
I thought the teaser was hilarious.
Yeah.
Can't believe Mel Brooks is 98.
Spaceballs too.
Did you guys ever? I don't know how into video games you guys are, but there was this really cool point and click adventure game that like had awesome animations, and it was called Blazing Dragons. I think, let me make sure I'm getting that right.
Blazing Dragons. I have to check that out because I'm not familiar with it at all.
Yeah. I mean, you can watch some YouTube videos of it or something.
Totally going to do that later.
Yeah.
Are we the same age? I feel like
I'm
we're probably
41, I think.
Yeah, we're exactly 41.
We're exactly the same age.
Okay, yeah.
So I imagine we have all the same like cartoon influences growing up, like
Ninja
Girls and Man.
Yeah.
Because those, I mean, to be honest, those are just like still huge influences on visually how I approach storytelling.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think Ninja Turtles was a big deal for me. That's one that like revisiting those old cartoons is a little rough. But
the
it
first
doesn't,
5 episodes of Ninja Turtles still holds up.
Still holds up. Okay, yeah.
Because the animation was better.
Yeah, it was heads and shoulders better, really.
Yeah. I mean, original Ninja Turtles movie is still like
a masterpiece.
Best ever.
It's the best ever.
Memory of Ninja Turtles and X-Men and stuff is like me making up my own stories and like
Yeah.
playing with action figures and stuff. So
I would consider that the early, like, I consider that a huge factor into wanting to tell stories, like having just like being so immersed in your own imagination. And that's all we did. We played with action figures and created stories like all day.
yeah. Yeah.
There was no internet. Think about that.
Oh man. Yeah, there was nothing.
It's like He-Man.
If you
and
wanted to
bikes.
watch Ninja Turtles, you had to like be there ready to go when it came on.
Like,
Whenever
watch
we
the same
do,
tape like over and over.
Oh,
and
yeah,
over.
yeah.
'cause, you know, and ride your bike to the video store for 40 minutes to go.
Yeah.
It's whenever we do school visits and stuff, there's a slide in our presentation that shows the Stranger Things kids playing Dungeons and Dragons. And we talk about like, oh, we came up to playing Dungeons and Dragons, but it's like a very good representation of what our childhood was like.
Yeah.
It was like bikes, D&D, He-Man. Like there wasn't anything else.
I mean, I think that's why maybe it's just cause like I'm in it or we're in it or whatever, but it feels TTRPGs are having a little moment. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of that is because, it's like we can't spend all our time looking at our phones and we want to like sit down at a table with our friends and I mean, how
Yeah.
cool is it that like, it basically is the same thing as playing with action figures.
Yeah.
And like making up there's just some like rules to it to make sure that, you're all on the same page or whatever.
Yeah.
Just fly off the handle and go lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt.
Yeah.
I think it is having a moment because people are lacking moments.
Yeah.
They're sucked into screens and the grind of day-to-day life, and there's this demand of people wanting to just flex their imaginations and not be spoon-fed, garbage content all day. There's a place that you can control. You can take it where you want to go, and you can be wowed and inspired by creators that are dedicating so much of their time to writing games and stories and just providing worlds and sandboxes that people can play around with. And it definitely appeals to me as like a way to step away from the screen and just engross myself. Even I own so many books for games I don't even play, just so that I can read them and experience them and see where the creator was coming from. And I think that the revival of that is really exciting and awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the coolest.
So cool.
Yeah.
I had a technical question about, do you play test anything that you make or just go with your gut?
Yeah. So if I do a game, if it's like, Goons and Ghosts or we play tested Starborg, definitely play test. I'm trying to think. So like some of the like setting type zines, if it's an adventure, I'll try and play test it at least once. If it's like a setting kind of thing or like there's like a bunch of like supplement type stuff, like maybe I won't play test that, but I try at least once, try to play test stuff. And then I'm also like not super precious about it. Like, I don't need to get bent out of shape about it being perfect.
Yeah.
I think we feel the same way. Any like game centric, classes or the rules of the game, they have to be play tested. I think it would be impossible for us to play test the entire Mucklands sandbox.
Right.
No, nor would it really have any purpose, because the core of the Land of Eem is to be creative about your solutions across the board. So it's not like there's imbalance in navigating a particular person or place or quest. There might be imbalance in combating a big bad, but that's by design so that you are creative to. Yeah. I have one more question for you.
Okay.
I want to know what motivates JP to keep going every week and making this stuff. Like, what is behind your love to just produce so much creative material so often?
That's good. So, I mean, part of it is it's my job, so that is motivating. I've like, I mean,
put your punch card in, and then there's the voice of me behind a glass screen saying like, be more creative for me, make cartoons for me.
Yeah. So I
When did you transition to it being your full-time job?
Recently, right?
Yeah. I guess it's probably been like a year and a half.
Wow.
Since it was kind of a slow transition where I was like freelancing and stuff. And then it got to a point where it's like, okay, I got to just start saying no to everything that comes up. And
we will say that we asked you to do another adventure. You're a busy man. and respect that.
I'm honestly like I'm looking at the I looked at my calendar and was like, okay, well the Dragontown box sets are showing up like right when it would happen, and I'm like I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna ship all these things, and
No, we totally get it.
yeah. I mean like do you guys have not to totally sidetrack it, but do you guys have I know the license is a little tricky. Do you have any sort of license for creating stuff for Land of Eem?
We do,
do.
yeah. We have an
Okay.
open license and an SRD on our website.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So at some point
Yeah.
I'll probably make a zine or something.
That would be sweet.
Yeah, make more because it was so fun to work on that stuff. And
It's basically shaving off the serial numbers in terms of like all
Yeah.
the place names and specific Land of Eem
Yeah.
stuff.
All the stuff
But-
that's kind of hairy for us as authors of book series too.
makes total sense. I think so. Okay, yeah. So that kind of like I feel extremely lucky. I get to have this Patreon where it's not like, I mean, people are definitely asking like, hey, like when's the next whatever thing? And I do listen to that, but basically I have a Patreon where I can like people are for the most part signed up to get what they get from me. And so I
Mhm.
like as long as I'm making cool stuff, one month I can make a Star Wars inspired game. I can do a Land of Eem adventure and just kind of like do whatever I want month to month. So it makes creating and going nonstop feel reasonable and doable because I can kind of I'm lucky enough to be able to decide what I get to make that month.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I love your setup. I love what you've created for yourself. I'm like, part of me is envious of it, of like having that flexibility and just like jump from one thing to the next.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, the thing I kind of wish I had when I'm in it and wishing things were a little bit better is like having a format. I guess I've kind of set one up with the Flick Silverpin guides, but not really. But like having a format that you can play around. It's like Charles Schultz drawing peanuts every day for years and years and years. Like having that format kind of makes things a little bit easier sometimes because
Mhm.
like I gotta figure out what the 4 panels are today, and I have my big cast of characters, and it's like whatever I'm thinking about I can apply the format to, and it makes it easier to keep creating stuff. But then at the same time, like what happens when you get tired of the format? Like when I get tired of making a Flick Silverpin zine, then I can make a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles inspired thing and make it look different and
Yeah.
so like there's
I think you just got to sell your soul. You got to be like,
yeah.
this is working.
Got to
I'm
make
never
tough
gonna let it
choices,
go.
JP.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Sell my soul to Patreon.
I actually have one more question. Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe
Oh, here we go.
we could loop this back in to earlier. But what was your approach to creating your Land of Eem adventures? Did you approach them differently than your own, or was it kind of like pretty similar?
So the double the treasure, double the trouble adventure was like kind of like a little mini hex crawl.
Yeah.
And I think that just came from like, the Mucklands, like I feel like you had like some sort of little sample thing that you gave me. The map was done, but it wasn't the whole thing, but it was like a sample and just seeing like, oh, this is so cool how to like do a setting like this. So really that one was really like, how do I just make a mini version of what you guys had already kind of set up? I think the idea was like, oh, you have a bunch of these like blank, not blank because there's the random tables, but like, empty
Yeah.
water areas down there. And so like let's make a little cluster of hexes that you could kind of in the area. And then it was just the same like how you guys have the random tables. So like having some random tables in there too. Yeah, so that one was just really inspired how you guys were already like presenting everything. So it was just like, how do I, and even, I mean, it's even like using a bunch of your monsters and stuff. And then like, okay, having some like weirdo, my whole thing is just like having weird characters, man. Like that's the, and looking through that's why I was like, how many NPCs are in the Mucklands? Because this is like, it's crazy how many weird little guys there are. So it's just like make some weird characters that want something. And then I mean, I was just at I hope I don't get too off track here, but I was just at Origins hanging out with Luke Stratton, the guy that made Pirate Borg. And so and the adventure I'm talking about is like there's two pirates, so that's why I'm thinking about this. But we were talking about the OSR, and I'm like, I don't really like know what the OSR, like I know the concepts of the OSR, but I don't really know about like and how the two come together. It's not.
I don't think
just
anyone
don't know.
really knows.
Yeah, right. That's what
mystery will never be solved.
Land of Eem is called OSR by some people, and it's called very not OSR by other people. It's like
and I don't know if it's tone related or mechanics related, or it's really up to people's opinions.
Right. And so, I mean, because he was like introducing me to people, and he kept introducing me as an OSR creator. I was like, dude, I don't really know if I'm I'm same thing as you. Like, I don't know if it is or it isn't.
JP, of course you're an OSR creator. Please drink from the cup. You must join.
But I think what it came down to, or what at least I decided based, like talking to him was, when I write adventures, I try to think about it as like, okay, I'm creating a place, and there's characters there, and there's stuff happening, and like the stuff happening can be, a random table, or it can be a thing that's written out, but it's like creating a place where conflict and stuff is happening regardless of the players. So then when you sit down to run it, you can just present it as like, here's this place, here's what's going on. And then when the players come in, they cause all this chaos and mess everything up. And that's where the story happens. Right. And so like, that's the kind of game I like to play. So writing this, pirate adventure, it's like, oh, I want to do a thing with the Kraken, and then there's these ghost pirates, and what's happening here, and then like
just having all these forces that could be opposed, or just and using them against each other as players, or allying with one or whatever.
And like so like I like to write challenge. So like with the heist one, it's like, okay, there's this boat rolling down the river. The players have been hired to like steal this cookbook back. I have no idea. Like when I'm writing it, I like have no idea how the players are gonna achieve it. Like, basically I'm like, okay, the layout of this of this riverboat seems impossible. If someone gets chucked over the edge of the boat, they're going to be like lost in the river. How are they going to get back? Who knows? There's these guards everywhere, and there's like all these ways that the players like won't get the cookbook back. Like in my head, it seems impossible. But then when you sit down and play it, the players, they always come up with a way. It's always some insane,
astounding
thing,
creativity that just bubbles up.
And that's awesome. That's what makes it so fun, is like not knowing.
I think when we played, James blew up the vault with a stick of dynamite. I think that like caused a distraction. They thought the cookbook would be in there.
Sure did.
Yep.
But it's not. And then he ended up sort of romancing Millie. They went upstairs to the the room where the cookbook was.
Yeah.
That sounds worse than it was.
I don't think so.
Yeah, awesome, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. That's my favorite part of writing adventures, is seeing the astounding ways that folks come up with solving the problems. And Land of Eem is like all about that. It's all about that.
Perfect.
Yeah, it was amazing having you with us today to deep dive into your creative process and just to get to know you a little bit better. Like we said at the beginning, your adventures are some of the most favorites of all of our community on Discord and YouTube and everywhere else. And it's just awesome to connect and be able to promote your work too, because we're both fans of your Patreon. We're huge fans of Dragontown. Anyone that's watching should definitely check it out.
Link down in the description.
Link down in the description and all that jazz. And the reason we're doing this is because we have our own Kickstarter going on. the Dungeoneer Adventures beginner's game and Underlands expansion, a double expansion for the Land of Eem that's happening right now. And you can pledge to support it and help us unlock some of these stretch goals. We funded the campaign in less than 4 hours, which is fantastic. And so there's a lot of interest in the Land of Eem, and the world is growing. And huge thanks to everybody that's been supporting it. And we'll be back with more activities throughout the weeks and months, and we'll see you there.
Thanks so much, guys. Super fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Until next time, bye-bye.